Hi there, this is James Swanwick, and you're listening to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast, where you learn how to take back control over alcohol and live a life of health, wealth, love, and happiness. I am James Swanwick, and welcome to another episode. Today we're talking to Brian Grenier, who is 62 years old. He lives in the Outer Banks in North Carolina. He's 90 days plus alcohol-free as of today. He's a former Marine. He was in the Marine Corps for 23 years. He actually did 10 years alcohol-free some time ago, but then returned to drinking. And then he came and enlisted our help inside of Project 90, and he's now 90-something days alcohol-free. First of all, Brian, congratulations on 90 days plus, mate. Well done.
Thank you, James. I appreciate that.
Tell us a little bit about your experience. So why did you want to get the drinking back under control again, and what happened?
Well, I think that back in the days when I was alcohol free, I lived a pretty good life. And I'm not going to tell you I don't live a pretty good life now or never have. But, it was starting to affect my life, my relationships, my thought patterns. And I was like, maybe I should just go and quit again. And this had been after about 5 years of starting drinking again, which wasn't really heavy, but it was just the continuous thing. And it has a lot to do with the, I don't want to call it camaraderie of the military or the camaraderie of the contracting world, but it's just something that's just like totally overlooked, And, but I was like, this is kind of affecting me a little bit. I'm starting to get up at like 8:30 in the morning. I don't feel well till noon. I was never a heavy drinker as far as, alcohol is concerned, like not liquor or anything like that. In the Marine Corps, we all drink beer. That's just the way they look at it. But so I decided it was time for a change. I searched and I found your program. And one thing I liked about the program is that it's, I don't know how to say this, but it's non-judgmental, right? And we build the person that is having the issue up from where they're at instead of judging them with guilt. And one of the things I found through all the friendships I made through the program, some which to this day I still hold true, that was always the thing. It was never like, well, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you go to confession? It was just like, man, you'll be all right. You'll be okay. It's going to be good. So one of the things that really drew me to this program was the fact that it was positive. And I don't want to beat down AA. They have their success stories, but it wasn't like I had to go to a meeting, I had to do this, or that. Steve and I could get on Marco Polo, we could have a conversation about the trials we were having at that day, and then we would feel better about each other instead of feeling like we're doing the wrong thing. So that was really important to me, especially when I had my restart. That was a hard couple days.
Walk us through. Yeah, walk us through that, because you started the process, and then you actually drank during the 90 days, and then you started again, right? Came back to day 0 and then went through it again. So walk us through that, if you will.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is one of the things I get from you too, and one of the things I hold dear to my heart is personal responsibility. I was out, I had a glass of wine, I could have told a lie. And you know how it goes, right? And I just didn't want to do that. I just wanted to be honest to myself, honest to my group, and honest to the other people out there. Mistakes happen, but you have to be, not self-reliant is not the word I'm looking for, but you have to be true to yourself. And that's one of the things about that I found out this time around is that, it was really easy to say, well, just go on to the next day, and no one's going to know, but the thing is that with the community that you have developed, with the positivity in that community, you could express yourself, and everybody would like gather around, kind of like, oh wow, okay, all right, well, that's cool. We're happy you said that, or what happened to me 3 months ago, or whatever. And then now you have a bigger and deeper community that you can build on and build your own, alcohol-free time on, because you can always go back to those people and say, hey man, how you feeling? I'm really stressed out, um, but and then they'll come to you, or you'll come to them in times of distraught, I guess is the word I would use. So that helped me out a little bit. And I can tell you 2 weeks ago, I had a job that, man, if anybody was going to drink at that job, that was that one. It
Really?
was really hard, and it was girl Tracy, Ian, and a couple other the folks that I just expressed that with. It was the most horrible contracting job I ever had. I'd rather get shot at than do that again.
So you found support because people were like-minded and they were experienced in business and not just that, but they were going through similar triggers as you were going through. And so I'm picking up that maybe you felt a level of comfort from being able to relate to some of the other members and share what was going on.
Oh, correct. Without question, the Marco Polo thing and the ability to make friends or find somebody that's on the same path as you are, whether it be in business or just trying to get alcohol free, is comforting, because instead of going to a meeting with a bunch of dudes that's going to talk about drinking, we can go to Marco Polo and we can say, yeah, I was having a rough day, but my family's doing really good, and the dogs, the cats, the birds, whatever. And we had other conversations that I thought were really important, more than just going and focusing on one thing. So we all had a problem, but we also focused on the rest of the life. So that was really interesting.
Just for the listeners, if you're not quite getting what Marco Polo is an internal phone app that we use, which connects our clients and members to each other. Think of it kind of like a closed Facebook group, but instead of communicating via the typed word, you're communicating via little video selfies. So you can actually see people's faces, and you can, people do little selfie videos sharing alcohol-free drinks that they're consuming, or they're going on a walk, or they're playing with their kids, and it's a great way to get to know other members in the community. Brian, what if anything have those closest to you noticed about you since you've been alcohol-free again, I guess, in these 90 days?
It's hard to say. My kids love it, of course, because we are very close down here. I mean, we have. We live in a paradise. I'm never going to lie about that ever, but I even have my sister down here now and all her kids. And I have my children down here except one. And, they can tell the difference, it's not like I was a heavy drinker and, show up liquored up at every party. But, the thing is that they were like, you're more calm, you're more standard, you have direction. Now, even my ex-wife said, "Oh, you seem so calm. What's up with that?" For having an ex-wife do that, and I had to go pick her up off the Appalachian Trail. I was like, "Well, I don't know. I don't know. It's just the way it is. That's the way I am, really, without chemical interference."
Yeah. And what was your drink of choice when you were drinking, Brian?
Oh, it really didn't matter. I mean, I can't say that. I didn't really drink like a lot of liquor. If I were to go out, I'd have a glass of wine. If I was home on a Sunday, I would have maybe 1 or 2 glasses of wine. I never was, when I was in the Marine Corps, of course, all we drank was beer and a lot of it, but it's the persona. But this time around, it was more like, I'm going to cook, which I love to do, and I'm going to have a glass of red wine. And then after dinner, I'll have 2 glasses of white wine. And, that was my drink of choice, really, was wine. It was never anything hard. Every now and then I'd go out and, when you're out, and you'd have, can I have a Bloody Mary or, Coke and vodka, whatever, but it wasn't the choice.
Yeah. And how did you identify that was going to compromising areas of your life?
Well, I think that, I'm 62, so you're supposed to have a decline, right? But, but the thing is that, I just saw myself internally, especially when I was by myself, thinking more that way towards alcohol than I was thinking towards constructive ways, where I live alone. So whereas before, I always had someone to take care of. And when I did my job as a contractor, I always had someone to take care of. So that, probably made up for the emotional impact or the emotional, I don't know, mix that now that I have to fight through since I'm not doing the same work, or I don't have any kids and I live alone,
Mm-hmm. And you said that before that you picked up a lot of the drinking culture when you were in the Marine Corps. There's a culture that's fostered there, isn't it?
Well, it's, I don't want to say the Marine Corps does it, but what are you going to do with, well, at my age, what are you going to do with 318-year-old kids? Right?
Yeah.
So, you got, you can't all go bowling. As a matter of fact, it's funny. It's funny that we talk about this is because today I was on the driving range, at the golf range, and there was a bunch of Marines there trying to burn off some steam, and they were just tearing the place up. And the girl came out and said, "What am I supposed to do?" I'm like, "Well, Amy, just kick them out, because they don't know how to golf. That's obvious, But then they'll just come into the bar and drink, and I'm like, I get that, And so she left them out there, just let them go. And when you're young, you're crazy when you're young,
Yeah, it's only until we're a little bit later when that catches up with us that we start to go, I think I might need to reverse this whole drinking and poor nutrition and sloth-like behavior thing.
Yeah, it's very true, James. Very true. And I've been healthy most of my life. I mean, I can take a blood test tomorrow. Without anybody looking at it, they'll tell you it's a 35-year-old's blood. And I believe in that. I've been in athletics most of my life. I've either lifted weights. I was an international cyclist for a while. I worked on the Team Semper cycling team for the 2012 Olympics. I mean, I was there, and and maybe I have a lot of residual health left in me, but it also becomes a habit. You take your vitamins, you do what you got to do to be the best you can every day.
Yeah. And so do you feel like, despite you having that and being very health conscious and mindset conscious, why do you think something like alcohol in this case is able to creep in to your life? What have you identified as the reason for that, do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about that today, and at the end of the day, James, I'll tell you, it was my choice. I'll take responsibility for every single thing I do. And at the time that started to happen, I could have said no, 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 but that's not the way it happened. I said yes, but it was Brian saying yes. It wasn't a circumstance, it wasn't a pressure, it wasn't a feeling. I just said, okay, yeah, okay. And I accept that responsibility to this day. And I think that's something that a lot of people that do drink, and I've seen this being in the Marine Corps, they blame it on everything else. But at the end of the day, it's your choice. It's my choice. We're humans, so we're given the ability to make a choice. I can go to the store and I can buy a Pepsi or a soda pop, whatever y'all call it, or I can buy a glass of wine. Well, I can just do that. It's called freedom. So I don't think there was any kind of, other than it being prevalent at that time. I don't think there was any precursor to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what you're saying is you're 100% responsible,
Right.
whereas many folks will say, "Oh, it's because of my work. It's because I got a divorce. It's because my mummy loved me too much or not enough when I was a kid, or it's because this kind of thing happened." So
Right.
and those things obviously are upsetting, and whatever it is to that person. But the drinking is still a choice, right? It's still a choice that you're consuming that in order to numb yourself or try to get temporary relief from the pain that you are feeling. But you can't say, "Oh, I drink alcohol because of this." It's
Yeah,
you're
correct.
drinking it. You're choosing alcohol because you're choosing alcohol.
Right, right. And it could be anything else. Some people choose food, or, and some people use it to hide behind things. So, I'm drinking too much because, my mom, or I'm drinking too much because of my wife, or I'm drinking too much because of my job. And then you can just turn the word drinking into food. I'm eating too much because of my job. I'm eating too much because of my wife. It makes no sense, and as you mature, I think you get to look at things a little bit differently, where you understand that, you know, I'm responsible for me. No one can make me do anything, just like I cannot make you do anything. Now, we can have a conversation where we share things that work, but it's like in business, right? Some guy's over here, he's got the same business you have, and you have this business over here, and he's going broke, and you're you're building money, and you want to look over there for the reason, but you don't want to establish a belief that since he's going broke, I'm going broke.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, that's how I think about it. And I think about that about drinking. I don't care what you do. I really don't. I mean, I care what I do. I care how I wake up every morning feeling bad or feeling good. So it's how I choose to, um, not personify is not the word, but how I choose to see that so that I can use that to my advantage. Some of the best videos you had things in there that I could use to my advantage during that time period to make me think that way. Like, oh, what a glorious day. What a glorious day. This is awesome. This thing about the salsa water, that's probably the number one great thing. That was about. I have some right here with a little bit of lemonade in it. It's just great. It's just you gotta play games with yourself, because if you're not, alcohol's playing games with your life.
James here. Just a quick note from Project 90, which is the sponsor of our podcast. If you are ready to quit drinking for at least 90 days so you can have long-term power over drinking, which can mean maybe you do moderation, or it can mean you just get rid of alcohol forever. Whichever way you choose, you're going to have long-term power over alcohol. Then I invite you to book a complimentary coaching call with one of my trained coaches. You can do that over at alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. You can schedule your call there, fill out a little form. We'll give you a call. We'll help you develop an action plan to get you alcohol free. And if you feel it's for you, we'll invite you into the program. If we feel it's not for you, then we'll very supportively refer you elsewhere. So if you feel ready to do this and you want to join a group of other high achievers like yourself, then go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule and book your call, and we'll talk to you then. All right, let's get back to the episode. What's the just clarify for our listener what you meant by the seltzer water thing that you just referenced.
Well, when you come home from a hard day of work, and sometimes back before this program, I would work 12, 13 hours a day straight, 7 days a week, year and a half at a shot, every day. And then you come home with your team, and the team be like, yeah, let's get some beers or something like that, and you just go along with the idea. But when I saw the part, and this was a while ago, but when I saw the part about the seltzer water and you pouring it over the ice, I mean, I even brought it up to my ex-wife. I said, "Hey, listen to this," and I poured some seltzer water over the ice. She's like, "Oh, that sounds like a cocktail." I'm like, "I know," you know. I said, "I know. I have it every night," and and now I mix it with lemonade and different things. But it gave you an alternative, and even if for maybe people that are really addicted, I don't know, but for me, it gave me, I poured this thing, I paid for it, I took the time to make it. So now I got to sit down, I got to drink it. And then by the time drinking it's over, I mean, all that stuff that was going on in my head is gone. Now I'm down to, I got to get the laundry done, make the bed, whatever it happened to be that day, make dinner. So I think that one thing, I got to tell you, James, that one thing was like a game changer for me. Because, I have seltzer water in the house all the time, but I never thought about making it like an ordeal. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And once I started doing that, limes, lemons, mangoes with, lemonade, I'd just make it out and to be a big thing. And by the time I drank the first glass, I'd be like, everything else I was thinking of is already gone and calmed down.
Yeah. So yeah, and just to clarify for the listener, one of the things that we coach inside of our program is to amend your nightly ritual. So most people who have issues with their drinking, their ritual is they'll either come home from work, or if they're at home and they're working from home, they will, as soon as the clock hits 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever your routine is, you'll come home or go to the cupboard, open a bottle of wine, pop it open, or you'll go and get a beer, or you'll get a vodka, or you'll go to the pub on the way home or the bar or whatever. And there's a ritual of that. And you drink the drink to give you what you perceive to be temporary relief. It's illusionary relief, but temporary relief. You're laughing, but I'm laughing. Yeah. It's temporary and illusionary relief. So what we do is we encourage folks to keep the ritual of coming home and relaxing, but do it in a very healthy way. And so I encourage our clients to buy a bottle of Perrier or seltzer water. There's lots of really healthy flavored waters on the market. Possibly keep a nice chilled glass in the freezer, so when you come home, you can open up the bottle of sparkling water. Pour it into a frozen glass and just hear the sound of like shh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it sounds nice. Drop a couple of ice cubes in, squeeze some lemon or lime, stir it around. So what you're doing in this is that you're creating this ritual of like, oh, I'm anticipating and really enjoying this beautiful drink, which just happens to be an alcohol-free drink. So you can still go and slouch down on the sofa if you like and go, oh, what a day. But then instead of you drinking attractively packaged poison, which is what alcohol is, you're drinking something very healthy and very nourishing for you.
Right. That was a really important video for me. I can't tell you how much that changed my way, because I would sometimes, I don't drink that much, but it was enough that I was worried about it. I would come home and have water, and then once I joined the program, I saw that video and was like, doggone. I mean, go to the store, they got that stuff on every shelf up there, So, I started doing that. As a matter of fact, I still have 4 of them in the freezer right now, refrigerator right now, just waiting for this afternoon.
Mm.
Yeah. And I love it. Hydrates you, and whereas alcohol will dehydrate you, and dehydration makes you sick, and all that. But when you drink seltzer water, you got to twist the lime or lemon or whatever you want. This one, it has lemonade in it. You're getting some vitamin C along with hydration, so which makes it a more healthier alternative. So it gives you an out.
The thing I always find crazy is watching people order alcohol on planes during flight, because you're at 30,000 feet, and at that height, plus the cabin pressure, you lose so much water from your body. And so if you are then ordering vodka or wine or beer or whatever it is that you order from the airline steward or stewardess, you've got a double whammy. You're being dehydrated naturally anyway, just by virtue of the fact that you're 30,000 feet in the air.
Right.
And the cabin pressure. And B, you're drinking something which dehydrates you. I mean, you're drinking the very substance that dehydrates you.
Right.
And it's madness. I've been in Sedona, Arizona, recently, which is beautiful, beautiful scenery, incredible, but very high up, very hot, so easy to get dehydrated. And I did 2 hikes recently, and I carried, I'll even show you, Brian, I carried these, what's this? This is a gallon water bottle with me when I go on the hikes. And then even when I return from the hikes, I'm drinking another gallon of water. But last night I was walking through town in uptown Sedona, and there were bars and restaurants, and people were sitting out the front of the restaurants enjoying themselves. And they were drinking beer and wine and cocktails and vodka. I'm like, are you guys insane? You've been hiking all day. You're dehydrated. You're way up high with the thin air anyway, and you're drinking this attractively packaged poison, which is just going to absolutely destroy you. So, anyway, I encourage our listeners, just do your own research. Just Google how much body liquid you lose by being in flight in the sun and up high in altitude.
That's very true. I remember a while back, I was doing some bodybuilding. I had a really close friend of mine. She was an international bodybuilder, and she would tell me that what they would try to do was fly to Chicago and fly back and drink white wine to be at the show the next day.
Wow.
And and she's a phenomenal female, of course, but I was like, man, do you know what you're doing to your body? And I same here. I found that amazing. When I get on a flight, I was in the military for a long time, so I've been on plenty of flights. All I want to do is drink water. It's like, where's the Camelback? Who's got the water? Kind of thing. I'm not reaching for a Budweiser, or I'm sorry, shouldn't have said that. It's a name brand, but I'm not looking for a beer or a drink or something like that. I'm like, who's got the water, man? Like you said, you carry that gallon jug around, Smart. People don't know.
Yeah. What was something noteworthy that you learned or discovered about yourself or about anything during this process, Brian? What was something that you learned or discovered?
Well, James, I learned one thing that that I had kind of let go for a little bit, is that I own myself, right? And I can do whatever I want to do. I can wake up and be unhappy. I can wake up, I can be happy. There's no outside influence other than me. Because when you look around the world, there's so much happiness and there's so much unhappiness. But I think that last guy's name was Franken, I think, from POW camps in Germany. He said, it's all about attitude, man. It's all about attitude. You wake up and you got a bad attitude, guess what? You're going to have a bad day. You go to sleep, you got a good attitude, you wake up with a good attitude. Regardless of what happens around you, it's all about attitude. And the only people that can choose that attitude is us. So it's kind of like drinking. Drinking's legal, right? Pretty much everywhere except down the street, and there's a town down there you can't drink at. But, it's still our choice. It's a personal choice. and our choices come from our attitude about different things. That's how I see it.
Yeah. The book you were referencing is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, which is a very famous book from 1946, where he chronicled his experiences as a prisoner in Nazi concentration camps during World War II. And he described his psychotherapeutic method, which involved identifying a purpose in life to feel positive about, and then immersively imagining that outcome. So it sounds very much like what you just described there, Brian.
That's exactly the book, as a matter of fact. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, those things it's all about choices. You know, I could have chose to not come into this program. You know, I could have chose to, I don't know, not have kids or not get married. It's my choice. I'm a free-willed human being. But with free will comes responsibility. And for every plus, there's a minus. And, Einstein would say that for every reaction, there's a positive, for every action, there's a negative reaction. So where I live, you see boats, lots of boats. But when they go through the water, what's behind them? It's the wake. And the wake is the reaction to the positive action. So when you think about your life, you think about alcohol, if you drink a whole bunch, I can tell you for a fact that tomorrow will be a shit day. Excuse me. Yeah, you can edit that out, but it'll be a bad day, It just will. That's action, reaction. Like you said about being on an airplane, you're already at $6,000. You're dehydrated. You want something to drink. You drink a beer. Now you're at $6,000 plus maybe $2 more grand as your body sees it. But it's your choice. So it's action, reaction. That's yeah.
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 Well, it's great. It sounds like you've got some tremendous clarity and have felt re-energized through the process. So I want to acknowledge you for your commitment and for supporting other people as well. I very much noticed you and appreciated you supporting other clients and other members in our community. It's not just about you. It's not just about the individual clients. It's about how can you show up for other people as well. And you very much did that. So I acknowledge and thank you for that, Brian.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it was a pleasure. I one of the things, I worked for the Wounded Warrior Battalion for 3 years. Guys came out of Fallujah 2, I think. And I worked there for 3 years until they realized I didn't have a master's degree. That's a whole other story. But, I like, if we don't share our experiences and we don't, whether it be with alcohol, in business, or life in itself, you're just going to keep making the same mistake. History will repeat itself over and over again until someone's strong enough to stand up and say, hey, that doesn't work. It just doesn't. So let's go this way. So that's one of the things I found in this program compared to AA, and I don't want to pick on them, but I found the positive approach to dealing with what I was feeling, and the community, non-judgmental, was fantastic.
Thank you so much for sharing that feedback. I'm so happy that you had that experience, Brian.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks, James.
Brian, thank you so much. Brian Grenier from the outer, what do we call it? It's the Outer Banks, right? The Outer Banks of North Carolina. I got to get out there.
Oh, it's beautiful, James. Give me a ring, man. We own, our family owns 1,800 homes out on the island. So, and I have a house here that's just off island. My whole family lives here except my son. You want something, we'll get it for you.
I love it. And any listener, reach out to me and I'll connect you to Brian if that sounds good to you.
$100 finding fee.
All right, Brian, congratulations again, mate, and thanks for sharing your
Thanks,
your
James.
experience with us.
James, y'all take care, and everybody out there that's listening, just do it, man. Just do it. You can do it. I did it. You can do it too.
Thanks for listening to the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast. I want to load you up with some free stuff right now. So if you want to go to jamesswanwick.com/guide, I will send you my Quit Alcohol Guide, which has helped six-figure entrepreneurs and top professionals reduce or quit drinking. You can also text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222 if you're in the US, of course. It doesn't really work anywhere outside of the US. But if you're in the US on your mobile phone and you'd like that guide, text the word QUIT GUIDE to the number 44222, or you can go to jamesswanwick.com/guide. If you'd like to schedule a free 15-minute call with one of my top coaches, just an exploratory call to see if or how we can help you, then you can go to jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222 if you're listening in the US on a mobile phone. That's jamesswanwick.com/schedule, or you can text the word Project 90, that's one word, Project 90, to the number 44222. Feel free to send me a direct message over on my Instagram account, which is @JamesSwanwick. You can also watch video episodes of this podcast and a series of other educational videos on my YouTube channel, which is James Swanwick 1, or you can direct message me on Facebook @JamesSwanwickOfficial. And finally, a request. Would you please now write a short review of the podcast inside of the Apple Podcast app on your phone or on iTunes on your desktop computer? Would you please give the show 5 stars and write a quick 1 or 2 sentence review? This will help the show get in front of even more listeners, potentially transforming someone's life. You can rate and review the show inside of your Apple Podcast app on your phone or over on iTunes on your desktop. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you next time.